finishes all of his medical training a year ago, and I asked him, he did, standard medical school, then he did an internal medicine residency, and then he did a fellowship in rheumatology. So he is one of the most recent grads I've ever talked to, and he said, we never learned about NRF2. He came to one of my meetings, and that's where he learned about NRF2. So when I first heard about NRF2, I had no idea what it was. When I first heard about Protandim, and I thought, there's something wrong with me. I'm a doctor, I should know what this NRF2 thing is, right? So then I'd go out and talk to doctors, and nobody else knew what NRF2 was either, so I didn't feel so dumb. And then I started to ask myself, why don't they know about this pathway? Well, it's because prior to Protandim, there had not been any agents that actually activated that pathway, so there was no reason for them to know about it. But there's just been an explosion of research in the area of NRF2, and at last count, there were over 10,000 published studies on NRF2 on PubMed. And so with that explosion of research, yeah, that's a big deal. There are pharmaceutical companies now that are racing to try to develop NRF2 activating drugs to treat all of these diseases that we know oxidative stress plays a role in. And one of the smartest people that I know was one of the first people that I called when I first heard about Protandim. He was a guy that I trained with, and he was at the time working for a major pharmaceutical company. And I called him up and I said, what do you know about Protandim? What do you know about NRF2? He goes, oh my gosh, Mark. He said, the company that I'm working with, I'm actually working on a study right now where we have a NRF2 activating drug that we're studying in a particular disease. And Protandim is a supplement, so we can't claim that it cures, treats, or prevents anything. He said, but we're doing a study on this drug to treat this one particular disease, and we've read all of Protandim's studies. We are very well versed on Protandim. And basically what he was telling me was, at least at that time, Protandim was the gold standard by which all of their NRF2 activators were measured. And I still believe that that's the case today.
To second this, guys, I just came back from the second NRF2 conference in the world. NRF2 as a therapeutic targeting protein for chronic diseases. And it was not intended for supplements. It was all about drugs and the future of the pharmaceutical companies. So let me tell you, multiple therapeutic applications of synthetic NRF2s are coming on market. So we understand what we have, and we understand that we're first and the pioneers. Let me tell you, a few months ago, they sent a couple dozen mice in space. And why did they do that? To examine and investigate their NRF2 levels. I'm sure they sacrificed them by now, but that's the future.
That is very well done. So it's more and more, there's going to be more and more awareness of NRF2. We are in the NRF1, this is just starting. There's hardly any paper on NRF1. So we are just ahead of the curve. And when everybody gets to the top, it will be even higher. Oh,
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
You guys probably are very well versed in the literature on Protandim. You've probably read all the studies. How many people have read all 27 studies? Raise your hand. Wow, I'm surprised. The Washington State article is not a Protandim specific article, but it is discussed. And that's the best article that I have found to give to healthcare practitioners to get them to understand what NRF2 is. So if you have a healthcare provider who is interested in learning about NRF2, get them that article, let them read it, and educate themselves. But in that article, one of their concluding statements is, and you've heard this before, NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. And that says it all.
So the studies that the author is Paul P-A-L-L 2015 out of Washington State. So I want to ask you a question back there, unless you have a comment you want to make. You took so I know you wanted to make a comment.
I could read your mind. Not really.
So I want to ask you, so why the Vitality Stack?
Okay, great question. I actually was going to just talk on just a second. How many of you have felt like that healthcare is complicated, right? Wouldn't it be nice to be simple? Like to have a simple way of actually maximizing your body's potential? And I love the fact that quote by Washington State, and it's key, extraordinary twice in the same sentence is super unique. And to mention therapeutic and preventative in the same sentence It blows my mind. What that means, all y'all, is this: we're talking about something that is truly therapeutic. It means they're going to use it to treat things with. At the same time, we're talking prevention, right? What are we? What is LifeVantage? We're a nutrigenomic company at the forefront of that, right? And the Vitality Stack make it super, super simple. For the last 20 plus years, my life has been teaching and training physicians all over Canada, and Europe, and the United States. Teaching physicians of how to incorporate over 200 different nutritional products into their practices. Why 200? We weren't doing nutrigenomics. What we were doing is trying to fix different systems based on what synergy we could find, and to try to help people, right? What you have your hands on with the Vitality Stack is you have the keys to biohack your body's human potential in every aspect that we know of, right? Reducing oxidative stress. Okay, you're getting the sanitation department to work, you're getting electricity to work, all right? And you're becoming efficient in everything that you're doing. So that Vitality Stack is so brilliant. It's taken literally what I used to do, super complicated, 200 different products down to just 5. The Vitality Stack with the Axio, guys, and you have that answer, and you can explain it in a simple way, right? Do you want to function here, or do you want to function here, right? And then we don't have to guess. If you're a mammal, these things work. We're talking about activating genes that we all have. That Vitality Stack is brilliant because it keeps it so simple, and then you tie it to a business where you can help other people share it. Because guess what, guys? How many of you learned about LifeVantage and nutrigenomics from your doctor? Raise your hands. Okay, is that one hand? All right, so that means the rest of us doctors, we found out about it from who? You guys. All right, that's the power that you have, and the power of the products enough where it gets, 2 MDs and a DC and a PhD talking about this and being involved in network marketing. Guys, we have a Vitality Stack. You just need to get it into people's hands, give them the chance, let them choose what they want, but educate them on the importance of the power of all of them together.
People ask me all the time what supplements I take, and I take things in addition to the Vitality Stack, but I tell people the Vitality Stack is the 4 cornerstones of what you need for good supplementation. Nerve 2 to reduce the oxidative stress, Nerve 1 to improve mitochondrial function, the omega-3s for all the protective effects, brain, heart, immune system, etc., and the probiotic. Now there's one other option if you don't want to take the probiotic, but it's not very pleasant. You need to get the right bacteria in your gut, right? And you can take a probiotic, but if that's not appealing to you, you can go to a clinic. I know that they have one in Phoenix, and you can have a fecal transplant. So it's your choice.
So guys, vitality, vita means life. So what we have to me is essential, meaning must in my body. I don't have to pretend them. Upregulates my cellular defense. Mitochondria turns on the good genes and gives me energy. Probiotics, other than populating the bowel and stuff, we know that microgut is our second brain. Over 90% of serotonin is made by microbiota. Let alone the over 80% of our immune system. And of course, the brain function relies on these essential omegas. So thank you. Well, we are running